Republic, Corps Honorable Police Chief APGAINS. A lot of people have been asking about progress on the cube. So a couple of important things is I hope this weekend we're going to try and do a subathon. Not so much for the sake of doing a subathon, but more just as an excuse because I need a lot of man hours to make a big improvement to the cube. Our idea is, yes, you can review your own roster without APGAINS or someone reviewing it for you, so you know what your account looks like. It'll give recommendations on what you need to farm to become better based on all of the .gg API data, so you know that you're getting good recommendations. But what we want to add is, I'm thinking about, the name is pending, but I'm thinking about calling it Real GP, because everyone knows that you see an account, this is an 8 million account. A lot of this 8 million is probably not going to be used in GAC, if we're being perfectly honest. So our theory, or what we're trying to accomplish, is we want to, and cut off by division. So it'll be, the thresholds will be different for Kyber and Erodium and Chromium and Bronzium and Carbonite and all that stuff. But we want to create a list on stream this weekend of every character and ship that's useful, if that makes sense. Like, very memes aside, very frequently, the power of your cup is not going to be super important for the outcome of a GS. I know, heresy, I understand. But if you have a Relic 3 cup, while that's a big boost to GP, it's not real GP, if you know what I mean. So what we want to do is, like, say for Kyber, for instance, the Kyber threshold, we'll call it Relic 3. Relic 3 to Relic. Relic 3 is probably a good cutoff for, like, Kyber 5. Anything under is probably not super useful, right? So what it would do is it would cut off all things that are not under Relic 3, and then it would scan all of the characters and ships that are useful at that level. And it would show you that while this is going to be totally made up numbers, while this might be an 8.2 million GP account, if I'm your opponent and you're kind of doing a cube roster review of me before you do a GAC, or just to scout out people in your lobby, or a great tool for guild leaders to use for their guild to make sure people are, building quality teams, this might be like a 6 million or 6.5 million real GP account. Now, I think everything on my account is perfect, obviously, because I'm the greatest Galaxy of Heroes player of all time. But just as an example. So what we'll likely do, hopefully Saturday, is do a really long stream, come up with different thresholds for the different, so for, Carbonite, Chromium, Erodium, Kyber, Bronzium, all that shit. It'll include, we already have a way to check if characters have Omicron, so like Savage will probably not populate as real GP if he's under a certain threshold and doesn't have his Omicron, for instance. But characters like, I don't know, Admiral Radis will probably populate. Starkiller is not as good without his Omicrons, obviously, but he will populate. Hondo as well. But we just need a lot of man hours to get this done. And one thing, if you are going to show up to the stream, is what I'm probably going to do to figure out the different thresholds for every division is I'll probably have people on the Discord post, like, I'll probably have some sort of structure for you to do. Be like, this is my division. These are the teams that I place on defense. These are the teams that I use on offense. So I can see, like, this Bronzium player has a lot of relic, or, gear 11, gear 12, and a couple of lower relics with, like, a few high relics. You know what I'm saying? So I can see, like, a general outline across hundreds of people where all of the divisions roughly stack up. Now, I know your opponents have mega GP because they don't play, and it's super annoying, and money-based matchmaking, it's the fucking worst. But I'll probably try to see competitive players in the different divisions, and this will be a massive endeavor, but I kind of just want to know if there's something people like. Yes, we can review, we can make recommendations, but I want to add something to take this to the next level so it's multifaceted in that respect. And I think the concept of real GP will probably help players reviewing their own rosters, guild leaders reviewing their guild's rosters, and possibly doing like a quick preliminary check of an opponent. Because right now, the biggest problem when scouting an opponent is, if it's not filtered by power, and I pretend I don't have these favorites here, Or I guess it would be filtered by power if you're looking at your opponents. Like, you see this, and, like, it's really hard to, like, scroll through all of this and, like, mentally put teams together and figure out what goes where. So I want to have, like, a quick system where you can, like, just plug in your opponent's ally code, be like, okay, these are the teams they have, this is their real GP, and kind of get a general understanding of how good they are. Because I know sometimes I face... I mean, all my opponents have a bit more GP than me, but, like, occasionally I'll face a 12 million roster where it's lean, it's thieves, it's fucking nice. And sometimes I'll face a 12 million GP roster where it's like, well, they have everything, but a lot of it's probably under the threshold. That will probably take a while. I'm hoping that that is something useful that people will find as a good value add. It will probably require a lot of testing, so if you want to help us with our ongoing testing with the cube, make sure to click the link in the description, join the Patreon, and help support APGAINS, help support the cube, and give us quality manpower testing hours that CG obviously lacks. But we test our products before we launch them. So yeah, real GP. Okay, bye-bye. I do not like 3v3 Grand Arena, and people in chat don't know how to beat GLs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw away my Grand Arena and test live for them so that they can hopefully see if their counters work. Now, this person's like, APGAINS, can I use Starkiller versus JML with Yoda? Well, I don't know. And I looked at .gg, and .gg doesn't know either. So we're going to find out because I'm a good friend, but mostly because, I don't know, I don't care. All right, well, already off to a not so great start. So my initial intuition here, my friend, is that you will not be successful. Is that you will not find great success with this counter. It's still looking hairy. You know what? We don't back out. We're not pussies. All right, we might need to back out here. Oh! There's substance? Oh, fuck, there's not substance. Fuck! All right. I think it's safe to say that you should probably open with the AoE. But also, maybe not a good counter. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe.